Mr. Speaker.
Mojo Mathis.
I'd firstly just like to start by congratulating the previous speaker for possibly being the first time I've seriously contemplated turning down my hearing aid in the House. Anyway, the Green Party supports the intent of this bill. We support keeping Kiwibank and Kiwi ownership, and we support the amendments that have been put forward. And the reason why we support it is because we understand the value of keeping strategic assets that have been built up by generations of New Zealanders and keeping them in the hands of New Zealanders so that we can all benefit in the future. And there is no question that the public ownership of Kiwibank is and has significant strategic benefit to New Zealand. And I think it's worthwhile reflecting on a bit of history. Prior to Kiwibank, we had an enormous problem in New Zealand because of the lack of competitiveness in the banking sector, because the four big Australian banks were sucking out and still continue huge profits out of New Zealand to disappear overseas. But do you remember the days of $3 monthly transaction fees, base fees, and exorbitant transaction fees? If you don't remember, you're probably not old enough to be a member of Parliament. It was the arrival of Kiwibank that changed that. And having a state-owned bank has been an incredibly important market mechanism to promote competition in the banking sector. And surely that is something that we should all be able to get behind, because that competition has helped ensure that some of that profit is returned back to customers rather than disappearing off overseas. And that is incredibly important. And if we don't commit to keeping Kiwibank in public ownership, there is a real risk that further down the track, we could see Kiwibank becoming yet another foreign-owned bank, which is the last thing that New Zealand needs right now. So the Green Party policy is to retain Kiwibank in full public ownership, which is what this bill does. But we would go further than this bill. At the moment, Kiwibank is constrained because the government is treating Kiwibank like a cash cow rather than empowering it to act more in the public interest. And the Green Party policy is to strengthen Kiwibank, to act in the public interest and empower it to act even more effectively, competitively with the four Australian banks. And we believe that this stronger competition will see all banks cutting lending rates more rapidly in passing on a greater proportion of savings to Kiwi households and to businesses, rather than siphoning off the profits overseas. And to achieve that outcome, we need to ensure not just that Kiwibank remains in public ownership, we need to help it grow faster. And so that's why we've launched a policy that says we would inject more capital to enable it to expand more into commercial banking, allow it to keep more of the profit instead of being treated as a cash cow by the government, and change the corporate intent of Kiwibank to enable greater priority to be placed in market leadership. We would do all of these things. But a fundamental principle that this bill tonight puts forward is just a start, which is to keep it in Kiwi ownership, in public ownership. We support this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
David Seymour.